For the past few nights, I've had the same dream. I wake up in my bed, but everything's off. The light is dimmer, the room slightly different. And always the same sound, footsteps downstairs. I try to scream, but no sound comes out. And then I see him, a man with no face. He just stands in my doorway, watching. When I wake up, my heart's pounding. But today I woke up, and the room was still dim, and the door was still open. I sat up slowly. The air was heavy, like breathing underwater. I told myself it was just sleep paralysis, until I heard it again. Step, 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 coming up the stairs. I grabbed my phone, no signal, no light, just black screen. I looked up, and he was already in the room. But this time, he had a face, and it was mine. He stood there, my face, but wrong. Pale, stretched, like a mask made of me. His eyes were black, but they stared with something I felt more than saw. I couldn't move. I couldn't even blink. He tilted his head, like he was studying me. Then he whispered, with my voice,
"You shouldn't have woken up."
The lights flickered. The air cracked, like the sound of breaking glass in my skull. And then, everything went black. I woke up again. This time, in the real world, I think. But when I looked in the mirror, my reflection blinked before I did. I stared at the mirror, frozen. My reflection smiled, but I didn't. I wasn't even breathing, but it was. The glass fogged up from the inside. I stepped back. The reflection stayed still, and that's when I realized this wasn't a dream anymore. I didn't sleep all night, just sat in the corner, waiting, as dawn slowly filled the room. I finally gathered the courage to look into the mirror again. It was empty. There was no reflection at all. But in the window across from me, someone was standing, and it was me. I started recording myself at night, wanted to prove it was all just paranoia. Placed my phone on the nightstand, hit record, and went to bed. I woke up early. The sky was still dark. Checked the phone. 8 hours of video. I hit play. First hour, I'm sleeping. Second hour, still asleep. By the third, something moves. On the video, I slowly sit up in bed, eyes open, but empty. I lean toward the camera and whisper,
"He still thinks he's you."
Then, a smile, the same one from the mirror. I don't remember any of it. I didn't wake up, but on the video, I stood up, walked out of the room, and never came back. But I'm here, right? Aren't I? All day, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. People on the street avoided my eyes. The mirrors in shop windows, empty. I tried talking to a friend. He looked right through me, like I was just noise. That night, I set my phone to record again. This time, I left the lights on, and a knife under my pillow. I woke up at 3:33. The room was cold. The light flickered. The phone turned off. The mirror cracked. And then a voice. From the corner of the room,
"You haven't woken up yet."
I turned around, and I was sitting on the bed. Another me. Identical. But his skin was paper thin. Eyes filled with night. He leaned in close.
"This is another night, but not yours."
I screamed, but I didn't hear anything. And then I woke up again, and he left me a note, written in my own handwriting.
"I like it here. You can stay there."
I stared at the note for a minute, or maybe an hour. I couldn't tell anymore. Everything around me was quiet. too quiet. I stepped out of the room. The hallway was longer than before. The walls, bare, lifeless. Mirrors began to appear along the walls. In each one, me, but slightly different. One had no eyes, another, a smile, stretched too wide. I shouted, "Which one of us is real?" And they all answered at once.
All of us and none.
At the end of the hallway, a door. I opened it, and I was back, in bed, sunlight through the window, birds singing. A normal morning. I walked to the mirror, my face, my eyes. But when I blinked, the reflection didn't. It just whispered,
You woke up, but not where you think.
I live a new life now. Ordinary, quiet, morning coffee, the mirror, silent. People, they see me. But deep down, I know this isn't mine. This reality is too smooth, too perfect. No dreams, no cracks, not even dust settles. Then, the first sign. In the park, between the trees, I see someone with my old face, the one from the other side. He disappears, but leaves something in my pocket, a small mirror. On the back, a scratched word.
Remember.
I look into the mirror, and in an instant, everything comes back. Screams, mirrors, darkness. But now I know, it wasn't a trap. It was a door, and I know how to cross it. To return, I must fall asleep in a reality where dreams don't exist. And if it works, I'll wake up in my own, or never wake up again. I decided to try, to fall asleep in a perfect reality where dreams don't exist. For a whole week, I prepared. No sleep, no coffee, no sound. And at night, when everything became too quiet, I laid down, with the small mirror in my hand. My pulse slowed, my thoughts faded. Darkness rolled in like a wave, and for the first time, I felt pain in the dream. It was the sign. I was breaking through. When I opened my eyes, everything felt familiar. My bed, my room, real air, not sterile. I stood up, legs shaking. But I was standing. I was finally home. But then, in the mirror, it was me. But the scar on my neck, the one I got as a kid, was gone. I opened the drawer. Inside, a journal, my handwriting. But the entries weren't mine. And then I heard a voice from the kitchen.
You came back too late.
I walked into the kitchen. The voice was gone, but the kettle was still warm. On the table, a note written in my handwriting. Don't trust anything that looks familiar. I rushed to the mirror, needed to check. It was shattered, the edges stained with blood, but not mine. I found the same small mirror that brought me here, looked into it, and saw hundreds of me, all in different realities. Some were screaming, some were running. One of them stared straight at me. He said,
The real world burned when you first woke up in that dream. Everything left now is fragments, shells. You've woken up so many times, but never once. For real.